Okay. Um, I realized there's not a lot of videos on this bass online, and I thought I'd give it a honest try to just record it through a straight interface to get a completely uncolored tone. Um, this is, of course, my new Mayones. I apologize to any Poles if I pronounce it incorrectly. Ori Enji 5. It's got a nice little ash body with a wengi neck, of course. That's where the name comes from, the Ori Enji. I'm just recording this with no effects straight through my SSL2 interface, nothing special. My voice is going through my Neumann TLM 102 microphone. It's a condenser microphone. It's very sensitive, so it might actually pick up some string noise. And yeah, this is just going to be the unbiased tone of the instrument straight through an interface. Kind of dry, kind of boring, but you'll get a sense of how the bass sounds. So, and excuse the video quality, I mean, this poor webcam is all I have. Anyway, so it's got 3 pickups, right? And it's got a 6-position rotary switch, which has different pickup combinations. First one being closest to the neck is number 1, and that's neck pickup only. Sounds a bit like a classic EMG pickup, I would say. More like, a DC-40 or something like that. It's a ceramic bar pickup, I assume, so yeah, here it goes. It's got that P-bass-ish character. I mean, it's not a P-bass, it'll never be because I'm a split coil pickup and it's a different position, but you get the general gist. It's a very smooth and round tone if you want to, can be very aggressive. I forgot to say this, but the preamp is set completely flat. It's in active mode, it's not in passive mode, but all the EQ is set in a center detente. All right. Moving on to position 2, which is just the middle pickup. It's a very interesting tone. It's become a favorite of mine, mainly because it has a lot of mid-range crunch, especially through an amp. Your standard interface will obviously be a very boring sort of tone. I love the coloration that an amp and a rig, a cabinet gets. So this tone is a bit dry, but it is what it is, just to show the general character. So here it goes. It's got a bit of that mid-range hump. It's not quite a stingray tone, but it's basically more of a it's unique. I'll give it that. It's a fun tone to play with, especially in a band setting. It cuts through the mix really well. You can still hear the sustain, by the way. And it's become a really, really favorite tone. You have to be careful if you have a high gain amp or an instrument because it's so sensitive to your playing style. Moving on. The next setting is the 3rd position. And the 3rd position is both pickups 1 and 2. Gives the bass a bit more of a hollow sound. I'd say it's I wouldn't say it's a Paul McCartney sound, but it's got 2 neck pickups basically close to each other, and they tend to cancel each other out a bit for some reason. So you get a very round tone, but it's kind of unique. Have a listen. Not a lot of treble or mids, as you can hear. It has a very a bit of a hollow body character to it. It's really good for more classic stuff It's nice. It's not my favorite sound. I don't use it that much, but it's there if you wanted to. Moving on. Position 4 is more of a classic type sound. It's the neck and the bridge pickup together. I assume it's in parallel. I'm not sure because the specs on the Mayones website doesn't say, but I assume it's in parallel. More of a classic jazz bassy, full-bodied kind of sound, you know, like. Yeah, it's actually my favorite sound probably because it's just everything's there. You know, you have the low end, you have the punch, you have the mid range. To be fair, the mid range is a bit uncolored right now because I mean it's just through an interface, so there's no post processing going on. But yeah, it's a bit more classic tone and very nice for, you know, basically everything. It works for everything. Moving on, we have sound numero. Why am I trying to speak Spanish? I don't speak Spanish. I speak a bit of Italian. Uh, Setting number 5, which is the middle and the bridge pickup. You know, the classic nolly get good tone, if you're into that kind of stuff. It's kind of reminiscent of a Stingray tone, but it's not a Stingray tone. It's more of a Stingray-esque tone. It has that focus mid-range, that honkiness, very punchy, like. So it has a kind of oomph, you know, that kind of very fast attack. Great for slap, by the way. I'm not gonna play slap now because I suck at it. But yeah, if you do that kind of stuff, it's a really good tone. Cuts through the mix very well, especially in a band setting. Not much to say about it. It's a really versatile tone and good to have. And the final mode, which surprised me a lot, is actually the bridge pickup only, mode 6. And you know, a lot of bridge pickups tend to have that like very thin, nasally, Jaco Pastorius kind of sound. This has this, but it's also like very full sounding. It has a very like fat low end, and also has a lot of good mids. So if you want that, you know, solo play sound or jazz soloing, or just like the kind of old school funky Jaco thing, it's there. So yeah, that is the Mayones Ori Enji 5. Fantastic bass. Everything I wanted from it and more. And I mean, it's hot pink. Can't go wrong with hot pink, right? Might do some actual more stuff with this bass in the future, but for now it's just like your playthrough for show. I mean, I don't have any purpose with it other than to demonstrate the bass. There are not a lot of videos of this bass out there, and I thought I'd just give my 2 cents on it. Still getting to learn the bass. I've had it for about a week now. Bought it as an early 40th birthday present for myself. Funny story about that, actually. Mayones, they released this bass at NAMM 2025, I think. And at that point, the bass was available in 3 colors, inspired by Japanese anime and Gundam colors. So it was blue, orange, and silvery gray. Or platinum gray, maybe they call it. But anyway, my first comment when Mayones revealed the bass on their Facebook page was actually, "Hey, that's really cool. Do you think you could do one in like a neon pink or a bubblegum pink, considering, you know, the Japanese theme and the anime Gundam theme?" I'm not saying my comment made this happen, but literally a year later at NAMM 2026, they bring this color out, and I was like, they listened. And the bass is, I mean, the name comes from origami, you know, the Japanese art of folding paper. And as I was growing up in a small town, I was obsessed with origami. Like I could fold like animals, I could fold complex geometrical structures. I could basically fold anything. There was a big part of my childhood, learning stuff about myself, and so obviously when Mayones released a base based on origami, it has the sharp lines, the folds, the creases, and everything. I was like, hey, it's almost like this base was built just for me. And so it was like a bit of fate, meant to be, so to speak. And I mean, obviously, also the name Enji comes from the Japanese Hepburn word for wengi or wenji, uenji, obviously. So, I mean, for those if you don't know, Hepburn Japanese is a standardized way of writing the Japanese language phonetically, or how it sounds to a native English speaker. And obviously, since the Japanese don't have a traditional W or V sound, you have to replace the wenji with an UE. And I mean, I've always loved Wengineks, ever since I played my first Warwick bass. I would love to have another Warwick bass right now, like a custom bass, but they're so expensive, even I can afford it. And I mean, I've always loved multi-scale basses. I had a Dingwall, one of the last like heavy solid series, the Afterburner HS, which had like a solid Bubinga body along with a Wenge neck, same scaling and everything. I like that bass, really good bass. But the Dingwall pickups to me don't have enough character. I generally play with a pretty clean tone. I like quite a high gain, so I get a bit of that hair on top. When I push, the amp, especially a tube amp, I like a bit of breakup, but in general, I have a pretty clean sound. And the Dingwall just wasn't giving me the mid-range character or focus I wanted. The Dingwall FD3 pickups and FDB pickups are amazing. They're very linear, and that's what they're designed for. So, to pick up the whole frequency range equally and have it sound quite homogenic, if that's the correct word. And what I found is when I played it just for clean stuff and didn't have a lot of drive engage, I found that I couldn't really push with my right hand in the way I wanted. So typically what I want from a pickup is just to have it respond to my dynamics in my plucking hand. Like if I play softly, I would. You get a soft thing, but then if I dig in, I want the pickup to respond to my touch. And I found that the linearity in the Dingwall pickups is really, really great for a lot of distortion. Obviously, they tend to cater to that, heavily distorted crowd. But I found for the band I was in at the time and the way I like to play and have my tone, I found they were a bit too linear. So I'd rather have a pickup that has a lot more grit in the mid-range. I have to say, Mayones did a really good job with the Velvetrone pickups. I'm just speaking from the top of my mind, by the way. I don't have a script I'm going by. No, but basically these Velvetrone pickups, I think they're called Grim. They sound a lot like EMG DC40s, which for me is plus because I love the sound in ceramic bar pickups especially. And yeah, I mean, 10 out of 10 instrument. The preamp is amazing. The mid-range has that kind of thick, woolly character. The bass and treble adds a lot of sparkle and low end when you need it. And the headphone preamp from the bass is absolutely amazing. It's quiet in operation. It's really good for practicing. And yeah, I mean, this bass is everything I wanted and more. So yeah, these are my initial thoughts about this bass. And obviously, Mayones, you did an amazing job. I'm not sponsored. I don't get any money from this. I'm just a hobbyist playing in a jazz trio, but the quality of the build is amazing as well. I mean, you literally couldn't fit a hair into the neck pocket. Fretwork is flawless. I mean, the slightly asymmetrical neck is basically all wing necks are really, really good, but take this neck and you just start playing it and it just feels perfect. It's a bit thicker on the low strings and a bit thinner on the high strings, so it kind of follows a natural curve when you play in higher registers, and it's just, I don't know, they did it really well. The bass is really well balanced, hangs really well in the strap. As you can see, I just dropped my hands and it's not moving, so yeah, I mean, what can I say? It's a dream come true. It's everything I wanted from a bass and more. Like, I had a first practice with it last Wednesday, and I just sat with a silly, goofy smile the entire rehearsal. And yeah, I might be one of the first owners of this particular instrument or in this finish. I haven't seen anyone else show this, so I'm hoping I'm actually one of the first, because Mayones, when he decided to do this color, like, that's when he sold the bass. I mean, it's not a cheap bass, but it's not the most expensive bass either. And for the price I paid for it at Todo Bajos in Madrid, Spain, this is like, the quality-wise, it's absolutely stunning. I mean, again, playability, fretwork, setup is low, but not too low. No scratchy sounds, no fretting sounds. I mean, your fingers, the only thing that's stopping you is your own fingers. And for me, I mean, I know the design is polarizing. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's not a bass for everyone. I've never been a Fender guy. Like, I've owned a few Fender-esque basses. I've owned a Maruschik, also Polish bass, really good jazz bass. I owned a Sadowski 5-string Metroline, you know, the new ones built in Germany in Warwick's factory. Really good bass, but I can never get the sound I want from those kind of basses. And I can also never get like a jazz type bass to sound as good as everyone else does it. I typically tend to sound a lot like myself, regardless of the bass I'm playing, but the sound in my head is not the sound of a Fender-esque instrument. That's just how it is. My first bass was like a generic PJ copy with active tube and electronics. It was like a teal green high gloss finish, completely rad. Looked like basically a fever dream. Actually, one of my best friends from growing up still has that bass, so I could get it if I wanted to. I'm rambling on, but that's how you deal with this kind of situation when when you dreamed of this instrument for such a long time and you finally have it in your hands. I mean, expectations can never match reality, certainly, but for me, this is just an instrument that it's everything I wanted. That's it. Anyway, I might post some more content with it in the future, but for this moment, I just wanted to give you a quick rundown of all the modes. And I mean, a multi-scale thing, it takes 5 minutes to get used to. If you ever doubt yourself getting a multi-scale, don't. There's literally no drawbacks to it. Possibly if you're a fretless player, it could be a bit more tricky, but I always found multi-scale basses too. I mean, I don't really think about where I put my fingers. So if you have that approach to bass, you'll find that the notes are typically where they usually are. And the beauty with a fan fret bass is the extra length isn't noticeable. I know, that's what she said. Because it feels so natural for your hand, you know. Again, that's what she said. Sorry, I couldn't resist. But yeah, I recommend everyone to just check this bass out. It's a cool bass, and I know I talked a lot more than I've played. But yeah, probably a bit more in the future. Maybe I'll get a better camera. This is a like no-name web camera. I'm just shooting with OBS, and yeah. But here it is. It's very pink. It has 3 pickups. It has very cool edges, And people have asked, oh, what about the ergonomics? Isn't it very, very like jagged feeling to play with? Not at all. They placed, the lines of the bass in the perfect spots to, be ergonomic. I have a bit of a gut right now. But yeah, I mean, if you do the classical guitar, the Adrian Farad position on your left leg, it's really ergonomic. And even like the low notes don't feel that far to stretch for, because again, the length of a fan fret instrument like this with a 37 scale, actually, it doesn't feel like it's overly long. That's what she said. Again. So yeah, I mean, just check the bass out if you can. I bought it sight unseen, unplayed. I took a shot in the dark and it worked out. The bass, especially through a proper amp and a cab setup, just sounds absolutely stunning. Again, there's something for everyone here. Like if you go through the pickup modes again, the first one with just a neck. Could pass in a pop band or whatever, like a P bass-ish kind of tone. If you play like old school funk, that's position 2, and the middle pickups really good for that kind of stuff. Again, if you play like something even more traditional, like in a cover band, the third position with both the neck and the middle pickup could be really useful, or just for like a slow ballad kind of stuff, Has a really good, round, full sound. And then of course we have the fourth mode where it's neck and bridge, the classic tone that works for everything. Remember, kids, you do not have to play the B string unless you want. And then we have the second to last mode, the fifth mode, the middle and the bridge, the classic nolly-get good tone. I'm going to say that because that's what people use it for, usually. I'm a big prog rock and prog metal guy myself, so obviously I know the tone and I know the inspiration. It's become a standard in the prog rock circuits for a reason. But I find it's really good for that percussive kind of play and slap if you do that kind of stuff. So just just wait. I mean, the sustain is fine. And then, like I said, the bridge pickup, it's just a really versatile bridge pickup. It's a lot more full and coherent, I would say, than most bridge pickups. It surprised me a lot because I tried it at band practice and I thought, I'm just going to give it a few licks and then I'm going to switch back to a 2 pickup mode. But I found it really good. Like the band like almost didn't notice the switch. They just thought it sounded really good. So. I mean, obviously the clarity and the definition of the B string is always going to be good. Anyway, I think it's time to round it off, as we say in Sweden, att runda av. And take care, internet. I'll see you later. And this video will probably get buried in the algorithm. I don't care. I just wanted some more visibility for the amazing bass that is the Mayones Ori Enji 5. Hey Mayones, send me free stuff. I'm kidding. Or am I? You be the judge. I have no affiliation with Mayones. I can tell you that. So yeah, if you're an enthusiast or just want to get yourself a nice instrument and you're thinking, should I? I think you should. Treat yourself. You only live once. Life is too short for bad instruments, for bad basses. And hey, can never go wrong with a hot pink bass, right? I'm not asking, that's a statement. Pretty good statement. Also, how stupidly good is this microphone? I got it in trade for a set of headphones, and yeah, I mean, it's almost scarily good. Anyway, I'm rambling on. Take care, internet, and I will catch you online. Goodbye.